Welcome and good morning, everyone. I am Katy Carpman, the Director of Religious Education here at Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church in Houston, Texas. Our beloved community of faith, reason, and affection welcomes all to grow in mind and spirit as together we build a better world. If you are joining us for the first time this morning, we extend a special welcome to you and invite you to fill out our visitor card, either the yellow card in the pews or the link on the YouTube, so you can receive more information about Emerson and our activities. Again, welcome to all. We are a church in many places, some of us here in the pews and some joining us on YouTube from home or wherever we might be. And our world is a different one than it was in early 2020. Our worship service has changed accordingly. We're giving people choices in the pews as to distance between families and whether or not they would like to continue masking. We've put a few offering baskets at the front and back of the sanctuary for people to drop off their offering throughout the service rather than passing the plates. For those of us in the sanctuary this morning, let's take a moment to picture the dozens of friends, neighbors, and those we've not met yet who are taking part in this service on YouTube, either right now or later in the week as their schedules allow. Please do remember to silence your cell phone. I will be doing that in a minute myself. And following the worship service, folks in the pews may head out to the gathering place for snacks and beverages, perhaps head out to the courtyard and the playground if it ever stops drizzling. And we'll also have social time on Zoom, hosted by Emersonian Marilyn Rambo, a chance for you to gather in smaller groups to discuss the service and what's going on in your lives. And today's worship, y'all, is out of this world. It is an all-ages service. We're going to have some fun together, and if you, like me, need something to do with your hands, we've got the ingredients for you to build your own dealy boppers at the front and the back of the service, as well as a wide range of sci-fi coloring sheets. I bet you didn't know that was a thing. Our preacher this morning is our very own Cynthia Miller, and we are just so excited. So let's go on our prelude.
Not too distant future, way down in deep 13, Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank were hatching an evil scheme. They hired a temp by the name of Mike, just a regular Joe they didn't like. Their experiment needed a good test case, so they cocked him on the noggin and they shot him into space. We'll send him cheesy movies, the worst we can find. He'll have to sit and watch them all, and we'll monitor his mind. Now keep in mind, Mike can't control where the movies begin or end. He'll try to keep his sanity with the help of his robot friends.
Robot roll call Cabot. Gypsy. Dumb servo. Crew.
If you're wondering how he eats and breathes and other science facts, just repeat to yourself it's just a show. I should really just relax. For Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Well, that was fun. Does that bring back memories for anybody else? It does for me. All right, welcome. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. All right, in this morning's chalice lighting, we're going to have you want to come up and light the chalice? We're going to have my daughter, Emma. Come on up. There's a candle right there. Humanity is in constant motion. We move forward into the future at what sometimes seems to be such a dizzying pace that our societies often feel we cannot possibly keep up with the changes. We can't adapt fast enough to new technology and new ideas to feel grounded and find our center, to adjust our laws and social mores, to learn to live ethically and in harmony with each other as the familiar falls away, replaced by the new. But we humans are more prepared than we may believe. We have centuries of writing from creative people who did imagine new technology, disconcerting scientific discoveries, and social evolution. These are the prophetic folk we can turn to in confusing times to build new ethical standards for ourselves. They can provide a light into our path. And now join us for the opening hymn, number 1003 in the Teal hymnal, Where Do We Come From?
Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Mystery. Where are we? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Mystery. Where are we? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Mystery. Where are we? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Mystery. Where are we? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Mystery. Where are we? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Mystery. Where are we? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery.
So there's a game that is popular with kids, and it's one of those you can just whip out and use anytime. And it's called Would You Rather? And you're given two scenarios and you have to choose one. You can't say, well, really, I want the third choice. You can't try to make a hybrid of one and two. You have to choose one or two. And I'm going to invite you to hold up a finger for one or two as I lead you through a couple of scenarios. So our first scenario, would you rather live under the sea or up in the sky? April, I see you have a finger up. Why under the sea? Really like water. That is an excellent reason. And let's see, I need fingers back up. Deborah, why do you want to live in the sky? Because flying is so freeing. I would say that's true of commercial airlines as well. I love when I can just drop off my luggage and somebody else is in charge. I don't care how it goes. I don't have to deal with it. Anyway, our second scenario. Would you rather have the superpower of being invisible or being able, that was one, or being able to fly? Pat, I see you have a finger up for one. Any reason why you want to be invisible? Because she's shy, and so of course I just called on her. Sorry about that. Fingers up again. Carol Trout in the back, why two? Because those are your favorite dreams. Awesome. It's funny how dreams help us to know ourselves better. Okay, next scenario. Would you rather find a living dinosaur or a buried treasure? Sarah Boyd, why would you like to find a living dinosaur? That would be the most amazing thing, preferably one who eats plants. Joe Dowling, why hidden treasure? Why? Because it would be more profitable, and I'm sure that would turn into a generous tithe to this church. Thank you. Thank you so much for that generosity. And I think I've got one more. Would you rather live where it is always dark or where the sun is always out? It's always light. Dark or light? M, why do you want to live where it's always dark? Right, because sleep is important to you, and it's a lot easier to sleep when it is dark. Yep. Can you tell me the last part again?
I like being in the dark. It's calm.
And you find the dark calmer. And Nancy Lip, why on the light?
Because I get sad if I don't get enough sunlight.
Yes, that whole seasonal affective disorder thing. We need to make sure we have some light in our lives, however we can get it. Yeah, you can always put blinds up. You know, it's that whole thing of, you know, if it's cold out, you can always put more clothes on. But, yeah. Anyway, so this is a really simple game. It's something you can pull out when you're in the car or just getting to know somebody, just simple little scenarios. And it's kind of the point of what we're talking about stories in general, but specifically science fiction, is it invites us to consider scenarios that we may not have, to see the world in a different way, and to consider how we can live in the world in a way that works for us and is ethical and just. Julia?
Giving out of what is our own is a transformative act. As a community of faith, we collect an offering, not for ourselves or our congregation, but to give to others as a collective action of our community and as a way to live out our shared values. Please give with a generous heart to support our March Share the Plate recipient, the Rutherford B.H. Yates Museum. Their mission is to promote preservation, education, archaeology, and research of African diaspora history, focusing on the period of enslavement and post-slavery era in Houston's Freedmanstown, the Gulf Coast region of Texas, and their connections to other regions in the world. And the remaining 25% of our offering goes to our ongoing commitment to interfaith ministries, Meals on Wheels, feeding Houston seniors. We have 3 ways to give. You can go to our webpage for online giving, or you can put your offering in our baskets or mail a check to the church. That was nice. Okay, let me get on the right page here. Please find a comfortable place to be or in your seats, and place your feet flat on the floor, if you can and if you will, so that you might feel grounded, more connected to the earth, which nourishes and sustains us all. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so,
and take a deep breath in, as if together we enter into a time of meditation, followed by silence. The Crystal of Creation by Tess Baumberger. I should have gotten that pronunciation before I got up here. If there is heaven, it is right here, right now. In this particular arrangement of nature, this happening of earth, moon, and star, this constellation of instants, this laden moment, this flash of recognition, this particle of time. If there is a God, it is all around us, everywhere, in every blinking eye, in every pulsing possibility, in every ugliness, every beauty, every wholeness, every part. If there is an axiom in the universe, it is life, it is love, it is death, it is hatred, it is wanting and needing to be. In this crystal of creation, let us enter into the silence together. Amen, and blessed be.
Alistair McIntyre has summed this up eloquently. It is through hearing stories about wicked stepmothers, lost children, good but misguided kings, wolves that suckle twin boys, youngest sons who receive no inheritance but must make their own way in the world, and eldest sons who waste their inheritance. It is through these that children learn or mislearn both what a child and what a parent is, what the cast of characters may be in the drama into which they have been born, and what the ways of the world are. Deprive children of stories and you leave them unscripted, anxious stutterers in their actions, in the words. And we are so glad to have the Emerson Orchestra providing our special music today.
Beautiful. Morality tales are probably as old as humanity. We intuitively know the power of storytelling to influence behavior, and we use it with our children from almost the time that they are born. Who didn't hear the story of the little boy who cried wolf as a child? When you think about it, it's a pretty dark tale to tell children, but we tell it in hopes that they can learn not to lie through the mistakes of another child rather than having to learn firsthand the consequences of lying. Speculative fiction, more commonly referred to as science fiction, is often dismissed as pure escapism, but it is most often written with a specific purpose in mind. It wrestles with ethics and morality that are either allegories for situations in our current lives or questions that may arrive as technology advances, as we have to come up with new laws and new rules of ethics that will surround it. Stories about aliens from space and truly sentient robots seem so far-fetched that some have a hard time accepting that as the powerful literature and art that it is. It is a literature that allows us to form ideas of ethical conduct for situations and technology that do not exist, may not exist for centuries, if ever. More and more, science fiction has become a mainstream interest. The possibility of problems with sentient, or at least sentient in appearance, artificial intelligence has started to become part of everyday conversation. Maybe it's a good thing Asimov gave us the 3 laws of robotics back in 1942. Anyone want to show off your geek credentials and recite the 3 laws from memory? I know some of you can. That's the first one. Very good. My husband. Good job. Okay, anybody want to go for the third? Okay, now my daughter.
A robot must preserve its own existence unless it cases which it conflicts with the first and second rule.
Very good. Okay, our family has them down. Thank you. All right. The idea is that there should be some rules for behavior in the core programming of any artificial life created to prevent robots from being a danger to humanity, to creating in them a guiding sense of ethics. Reading I, Robot and living through the fictional characters allows us to work through the questions of how much control and understanding we actually have over the technology we create. The most popular young adult novels for quite a few years now are dystopian tales. They imagine a future where a great society has fallen, whether because of monetary greed or ignoring the science of climate change. People in these stories are trying to survive and figure out how to build back a new way of life that will not repeat the mistakes of the past. It's not surprising young people right now are consuming the books that explore these ideas. These are the concerns that are most on their minds, and reading about societies dealing with fictional future events can create a sense of hope, because when you recognize the world is broken, you have to have some hope about how to fix it. Morality tales have been intrinsic to science fiction from its very beginning. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley is considered the very first science fiction novel. It asks many questions. One of the most central is, can too much knowledge or technology be dangerous? What happens when our scientific knowledge gives us powers that would seem godlike to even our most recent ancestors? These questions are still being explored by ethicists, even as in vitro fertilization has become a completely mainstream and miraculous tool for people to build their families. Now we're beginning to tackle the possibilities of editing the human genome. CRISPR technology allows us to pick out specific strands of DNA and snip them out. This is cutting-edge stuff. But in the 1960s, Star Trek asked questions about the ethics of genetic engineering. and if it would result in another type of eugenics movement. Many of the books and stories about the future technology still ask the same old questions about dangerous hubris we worry that new technology could result in. Can we fly so close to the sun without falling to our deaths? Writing about current events in futuristic settings is a fantastic way to deal with heavy ethical questions without the emotional hot buttons of how we feel about individual politicians or social leaders. We can spend some time in the heads of people who are on every side of an issue, and this absolutely increases our empathy. But it also hones our skills to identify our own assumptions and logical fallacies, helping us to be more internally consistent in our own moral code. Pardon me. Aliens in science fiction are sometimes conquering, warlike bad guys, just there to give the heroes something in the story to fire their lasers at. In that situation, they tend to represent a problem that we as a human family need to face together. But more often, they provide allegories for the way we divide ourselves into the categories of us and other. We as humans tend to assume the best of the people in our us groups and the worst of the people in the other group. And it can be hard for facts or logic to counteract that. We all tend to fall prey to confirmation bias and want to occasionally believe alternative facts when something causes real cognitive dissonance. For instance, the issues surrounding immigration. Take the same issues, set them in the far future with spaceships moving a group from a crumbling planet, trying to get to a safer planet, and an author can elicit an empathetic response that some studies have shown may actually change the brain chemistry enough to help us see outsiders with more compassion. Science fiction is based in abstract thinking, the kind of what-if imagining that allows us to build a world in our minds and populate it with people and then ask them questions, put them in situations, and see what happens. These kind of thought exercises stimulate our prefrontal cortex. That's the area of our brain that seems to have the most to do with our moral code and how we make decisions based on our personal ethics. Morality and ethics cannot be anchored in concrete thinking. Our world and every individual situation we face requires the ability to think at least a little bit beyond what is right in front of us. How many parents have worked hard to teach their children right from wrong and have been a little bit frustrated because they have, at least for a little while, grasped morality as so black and white that they have absolutely no subtlety, no concept of gray areas, and the idea that house rules of one family may be different from that of another can send them into a meltdown. That is concrete thinking. But parents, don't worry if that's where you are right now. The ability for abstract thinking will come. Reading, watching, and discussing some sci-fi might even speed that along a little. One of the things at the time that made Einstein's genius so unique was his use of thought experiments. He would ask himself, what if? And then follow the scenario to a conclusion, often inventing his way forward mathematically. He also later used thought experiments to explain his complex theories in a way that made them understandable to people without the mathematical ability to read computations as explanation. This is what science fiction does for us. It gives us a vehicle for viewing futures we want and the ones we don't want. It allows us to ask what it is that causes the different outcomes. What do we need to do or avoid doing to get to where we want to be as a human family? We can muse about how we want to interact with technology, with each other, and with our environment. The power of science fiction is not its escapism, but its ability to truly engage us in a purposeful, thoughtful conversation with ourselves and with others about our future and our now. Of course, no matter how much we read and meditate on ethics, we will never all agree or be able to provide a ubiquitous future for everyone in the world. But time spent asking what's possible, how we can best use technology we are developing to create the most favorable possible version of our future, that helps us exercise that prefrontal cortex, develop more empathy, and understand better the future effects of the actions we take now. As we move forward to our goal of peace, liberty, and justice for all. All right, and let's see. Now, please rise in body and spirit, or both, for our closing hymn, number 1064 in the teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home. We all love that hymn. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are not perfect, but we are perfectly fitted to this day. We are not without fault, but we can be honest to face our past as we chart a new future. We are the ones we've been waiting for. May we be bold and courageous to chart that new future. May we have faith in a future that is not known. We are the ones we have been waiting for.
There are many sources of our UU faith. If we did not hit your geek fandom in the music selections today, try us next time. We had so much fun, Julia and Cynthia and I, figuring out which pieces we got to use today. A few announcements. Please join us for social time here or on the Zoom immediately following this. The lunch bunch today will be at South Wells Burgers, which is near the HEB. No joke, on April Fools, we will have a campus cleanup here Saturday morning, working on our grounds and Westwood Hall. Talk to Ann May for more details. I regret to inform you, I will be out of state, so somebody else has to bring the donuts. And we have a very special announcement about our auction from our own Beryl Kaminsky.
Good morning. In case you haven't noticed, it's spring. So what does this mean? Pull out your silly costumes and wear them to church. Well, just kidding. But now that I have your attention, there will be a party going on right here, a celebration to last throughout the year, and you don't want to miss that. A celebration, you say? What could it be? The auction, of course. May 6th, the first Saturday in May. The auction is our opportunity to come together each spring to celebrate our community, to have some fun while we raise funds for the church. As the song says, bring your good times and your laughter too, and your service auction items. What talent or gift can you offer our Emerson community? Get creative, think fun. The emphasis this year is on services and events that will bring us together. The auction team challenges each of you to offer at least one event or service to enjoy with others in our Emerson community, and for each of you to purchase at least one as you are able. Let's celebrate by having fun together. After the service today, stop by Celebration Central in the Gathering Place for more information about how you can be a part of this celebration. And in case you're new here, the Gathering Place is the large hall where you entered. You may be thinking, didn't we just have an auction not that long ago? And you'd be right. Due to COVID, we had moved our auction from its historical spot in the spring to the fall for several years. Well, now we're moving it back. So we'll be providing more information over the next few weeks. Recently, on a family Zoom call, I had mentioned I was going to help out with the service auction, and my brother-in-law said, what's a silent auction? What is that? So if you're not familiar with silent auctions, I'll be happy to explain it to you in Celebration Central. But in the meantime, mark your calendars right now so you don't forget, for you and your family to celebrate on May 6th with your beloved community. Thank you.